Welcome to Straightway Through with Gina, the podcast where we say it straight, say it true, say it kind to the best of our ability every time. I'm your host, Gina Mangello, here with a special topic today. We always speak about some aspect of communication here on the show. Today, we will get into friendship. How has your communication in your friendships been throughout the course of your life? I want you to think about this. The kind of friends you form when you're young, at least for me, they you slip into them. You kind of fall into those friendships. But then as you become an adult later in your life, it's not as easy when you're out of college to slip into those friendships. It seems sometimes hard to find friendships or to find the kind of friends that you would like to spend time with now that you know who you are as an adult. I'll share a few stories that come to mind for me of when I was a kid and how those friendship stories shaped me into becoming the adult that I am and the kinds of friendships that I seek now. If you're someone who would like to have better friendships, closer friendships, more friends, more meaningful friends, better conversations in your friendships, more support, who knows what it is, but as adults, there's usually something that you feel like you're missing in your adult relationships. And it can feel like it's just hard to get, or you're always wishing that that next friend, the new friend, the old friend would deliver that thing to you, but seldom do you get it. There is a way to get it, and let's see if we can get there in this episode today. I remember a couple of defining friendships from when I was young, and I'll share some of them. But the first one I won't share about any specific person, but I'll say that my earliest memories of friendship, when I think back, like I asked myself the question earlier, who was my first friend? And the person that came to mind, it's interesting because I didn't really treat her like a friend. I treated her more as someone to direct. Right? Someone to say, "Hey, hi, person, I'd like you to do this. Can you do this? Can you move here? Can you say this? Can you do that?" So it was almost like I thought at that it was very young, but I thought that this friend was more someone for me to move around in life to get what I wanted from. Isn't it interesting that when we look back to very rarely does someone sit us down in our life and say, "Hey, let me explain to you what a friend is. Let me tell you what friendship is." Right? A lot of times in life, as we move through life, even if we've had people around us that had the best intentions and were wonderful people, it's like, how common is it for someone to sit a little child down and explain things to them? We just figure the kid will get it. They'll get it. They know, go to school, make friends, or go run around in the field and make friends. Right? There's a lot of things that we just take for granted that the child will know or learn or pick up, and we don't actually teach them. So I don't remember anyone actually ever teaching me what a friend was or what friendship was. And so it's no surprise that when I think back to what my first friend felt like, well, and I could think of some other friends, and they're really interesting stories. But yeah, they weren't exactly smooth friendships. They weren't exactly what I would define as a friendship now. But at the time, those were the people that were in proximity to me and that I was playing with. And so when I look back to that early start for friendship, it was rocky. For me, it was a rocky one. I'm thinking of another friend that I would play with. We would do a lot of outdoor activities together. And it was very much like a love hate relationship. Love in the sense that we always seemed to be playing together. Not that I really remember feeling love feelings, but we always seemed to be in, maybe because we lived near each other, but we were always doing some kind of outdoor activity together. But I also remember feeling a lot of animosity toward him and like we were not really on the same page. Now, as time progressed and I developed other friendships or people that I would play with, because I think when you're young, that's what you call it. You're gonna go play with this person. Ooh, you're gonna go play with that person. You play with people. And I remember having some friends that developed later on where they were more common. There was a common bond between us. So maybe we both like to draw, or maybe we both like to play by the river. We both like to play outside. We both like to pick berries. And so then the friendship more became something that focused on or centered around common interests. Right. So whereas like my earliest friendships, what I remember back, they were more like me being the director or me saying, "Hey, I want you to do this. Will you do that?" It developed into common interests. And as long as we both liked to draw and we sat there drawing together, it seemed like, hey, this is a pretty sweet deal. This is a pretty good friendship. And that went on for a little while. And that was the next phase of friendship. Then I started to get a little bit older and identify myself in some different ways. Maybe I liked different things. I no longer liked to draw, so that person didn't seem like a friend to me anymore. I now like to go traveling or walking, hiking, being outside, going a distance away from the house. So now those kinds of friends came into the picture. So it's just really interesting, I think, if you think back to when you were a kid, what were your earliest friendships like? What were your kid-like understandings or expectations of what role did you play? Were you the director? Were you the one being directed? Was it around common interests? Was it something else? Did you have those kinds of love-hate friendships when you were a kid? Here's, I think, the thing that develops for most people, what happens is, as life goes on, you come to have some friends that may not fit your description of what a friend is or becomes, right? So as I matured, as I got older, I started to have a concept of what a friend is. And as that concept grew and developed, this is not happening consciously, of course, okay? But then everyone that came into my life in the capacity of being a friend gets that overlaid. And they're now being matched up to that definition that I have in my head about what a friend is. What happens at that point is, as soon as that person steers off course from what I've decided a friend is, I no longer think they have the traits of a good friend. So I say, "Oh, they're not really a good friend. When am I gonna get the kind of good friend that I really want?" And I still have this idea of what a good friend is, and so everyone that comes into my life gets matched up with that. And this goes on, and then there'll be some betrayals and some heartache and some backstabbing. I mean, if you had the child if you had the kind of childhood that I had with friends, then you've seen a lot. You've experienced a lot. You've been hurt a lot. Maybe you hurt others a lot. I did my share of that. Right? So there's a lot of things that go on in these early friends or early friendships and the way that we form just as people that give us a taste of the goods and the bads of friendship. By the time you get to high school is like its own little game, its own little fields, its own little paradigm. And in high school, you develop different ideas about what a friend is. Maybe it's like, "Oh, this friend really supports me. Oh, this friend really helps me. Oh, this friend covers for me. Oh, this friend has my back. Oh, this friend stands up for me. Oh, this friend left me high and dry in that terrible instance." So we start to broaden our understanding of friendship. And again, it just feeds more expectations. So you have more and more expectations being laid down about what a good friend is, what a good friend isn't. and you see who fits in and who doesn't. And perhaps you go to college or trade school or start working after high school. And then things change again with friends. It's a little harder in college or trade school or work life to fall into the kinds of friendships that seemed to so easily be there to fall into when you were younger. Now you have to put a little bit more effort in to cultivating, creating that friendship. It's not as easy, right? And the thing is, you're still looking for that perfect friend, that ideal friend, the one who's really there for you. And maybe you haven't even really started questioning yet whether or not you're really the kind of friend that other people would want. But you just know that there is this friend in your mind that you really want, but it's hard to come by. And you may have friends that you've had for years, and they may be good friends. They may be the kinds of friends that you enjoy being around. Hopefully, you have a few friends at that point that you enjoy being around. But maybe then something happens. Maybe you call them one day and they don't pick up the phone for you. You know, they're busy doing something else. And right there, that can give your mind this thought of like, huh, this isn't the friend for me. Like the friend, the really good friend, the one that I want and that I know has to exist would be there for me. And I don't feel like this friend is there for me. So it starts to become this background. Again, this isn't all necessarily upfront and like super conscious. It's kind of happening in the background space, the background thoughts. You might be aware of the thoughts to some degree, but they're distant. They're in the background. And you just keep showing up either looking for that friend that you haven't yet met or looking for a current friend to become that friend that you so desperately want. Because everybody wants a friend. Everybody wants a good friend. Everybody wants support. Everybody wants someone to be there for them. And depending on who you are and how your life went, there's of course romantic love that gets mixed in with all of this in terms of relationships. So now you have friends and then you have the romantic pieces that come in. And the romantic relationships sometimes take center stage, meaning they're the ones that get the most emotional investment from you, and maybe they're the ones that make you the happiest or the saddest, right? But you're most invested in them. Generally, I'm speaking very general here. There's always exceptions. So if this wasn't your story, it's okay. But maybe your friends are the ones that are there for you when things go wrong in your romantic relationships, right? You kind of forget about the friends when you have a romantic partner or love interest. Or maybe you're really good at balancing both the romance and the friendships. But what's the difference? What do you get from a romantic partner and what do you get from a friend? And how did you, in your growing development, in your growing maturity, come to understand or to separate those two? What do you look for in a friend? What do you look for in a romantic partner? What's a reasonable expectation for a friendship? What's a reasonable expectation for a romantic partner? And all of this continues to develop your growing understanding of friendship and what it is and what it isn't. Let's just say we're all 40 right now, 40 years old, or we're all 50 years old, or we're all 80 years old. It doesn't matter what the number is. But all of us at the same age, if we look back at our lives, we're going to have a very different flow of friendships, what they meant, the expectations that they met, the expectations that they didn't meet, whether it delivered, whether that relationship delivered what you wanted or didn't want, what you feel like you've never had but always wanted. And sometimes we even get so lost in romantic relationships that friendship becomes like part of it goes on the back burner. It's something that we don't think about. We don't care about as much. If you're fortunate enough to come to a time in your life where you really do care about friendship, that's a beautiful place to be. Because from my perspective, friendship is one of the most beautiful gifts that you have as a human being, that you've been granted as a human being, that you've been given as a human being. And you could certainly be friends with a romantic partner, meaning your romantic partner could also be someone that you see as a friend. For some people, that's true. For some people, those lines stay separate. A friend is a friend and a partner is a partner. But friendship is this gift that becomes an even bigger gift when it's explored. This idea of falling into friendships and then always wishing for them to be something that they either measure up to or not is over here. It's the old way of friendship. It's the old way of finding friends, of pursuing friends. It's the default way. It's even that, it's still a gift. As a kid, you're still given a gift to be able to fall into friendships. But as an adult, it's time to think about consciously, what would you like in a friendship? What would you like to give in a friendship? And how do you cultivate that? Like, how do you actually find a friend that you're not going to just fall into a friendship with? What do you do? Where do you meet them? How do you know if they're looking for a friend too? You're not on the playground anymore. When you're a kid, it's easy. You're just both on the playground. You both like slides. You both play on the slide and you hit it off. It's your friend. It's just different as an adult. One perspective that has helped me a lot with whether it's friendship or it's a business relationship or it's any kind of relationship really, it's to get really clear on what it is that I'm looking for, what I define a friendship as, and what I'm capable of giving, and then almost making it like a business proposition. Almost saying to the world or to a person, "Hey, this is what I'm looking for. Is it something that you're interested in?" Let's just say I really like to play tennis, and I would love to have a friend who played tennis. And I would love for that friend to be available on the weekends because that's when I like to play tennis. If I can get really clear about that, then I can set out to find that person. I can say to people, I can say, "Hey, do you like to play tennis? Are you open to a tennis partner? Are you open to playing once a week? Are you open to playing once a month?" And who knows what kind of a bond could form from that. It is very much like a business relationship, but that's what sets it up for success because the expectations destroy relationships, meaning when they're quiet and hidden. So if I have let's say I meet somebody, let's say I go out to a park tomorrow and I sit down on the bench. And when I sit there on the bench, someone else comes and sits next to me. And I talk to them. And we hit it off. We have a great conversation. If I don't give that person some kind of a proposition, we're just going to part ways and I might never see them again. So I might say to them, "Hey, Susie, it's been really fun talking to you today. By any chance, do you play tennis? Because I'm actually looking for someone to meet here at the park every Saturday at noon for an hour of tennis." It's okay if they say no, right? Part of being an adult is being able to ask for things and being able to weather the storm of hearing no. Okay, but let's just say they say no. Let's say, "No, I'm not into tennis at all." And then I can say, "Oh, okay. Is there something that you like to do that I might be able to join you for if it works for me?" Right? Or I could just say, "Okay, thank you," and walk away. And I can try again. I can find someone else at the park on another day, and I can go through that. And yes, you could think of it as a business in terms of like sales, right? They say like you have to go through so many no's to get to a yes. So just let the no's be like you getting closer to a yes. And you see, when I do that, when I set that up for myself, and so let's say I do find someone and they say, yes, I would love to meet for tennis every Saturday at 12. I can commit to doing that for 3 months and then we'll reevaluate. And I say, that's amazing. I love that. Right there, in a sense, I've set that up as the only expectation for that relationship. So I'm no longer lost in that fantasy realm in my mind of like, oh, like what a good friend is. And this good friend that I've always wanted. And this good friend is going to do X, Y, and Z. And this good friend is going to be there when I call them all the time. And they're going to be able to support me whenever I need support, and they're gonna be able to be sad with me when I'm sad and rejoice with me when I rejoice. They're gonna be able to be with me. I mean, I know we all want that, and that's where God comes in, right? That is where God comes in. God is that person for me. He is that person for you, and I know it's so easy to really want that in this world, and we can get things that are, mm I don't know if I would say close to that in this world. I would say we could get little representations of that in this world, but not completely. Meaning, you can have one friend that you meet for tennis at noon on Saturdays every week. You could have another friend that you go ice skating with. You could have another friend that likes to just sit in the park and take pictures. You guys like to take nature pictures, or you like to look for the little squirrels or the birds or the frogs. Right, so you can create all these friends, but the friendships are based on the proposal that you proposed. So it doesn't get all mixed up. It doesn't get that person doesn't get lumped in to this imaginary friend that you think exists or that they should exist to meet all your needs. 'Cause truly, that's what we're looking for, right? It's not even that we're looking for a friend, we're looking for the person who will meet all of our needs. It's like, "Hey, there's gotta be someone in this world who can meet all of my needs. I've been searching for them for 50 years. Where are they?" It's like, this person, well, they were good with that, but not that. And this person, yeah, they were good with that, but not that. Where's the one? Where's the one? Where's the one that can meet all of my needs? Instead, find a few people that you can propose something fun, something that you wanna do, something that you want to engage in, and then invite them into it. And let there be an expiration date, right? If they don't say it, you say it. Say, "Hey, I can't assume that we're gonna wanna meet every single Saturday for the rest of our lives, but what if we commit to doing it for 2 months? What if we commit to doing it for 6 months? What if we just do it one time and then decide if we wanna do it again?" Make it a proposal. And that way you can start to test the waters. It's like dipping your toe in the water and then your ankle and then your calf and then your knee. And before you know it, you're in the water, but you also know that you can come out of the water. Right? You play. It's like play. Imagine if life were more like this. Play. And then perhaps from tennis every Saturday at noon, then it turns into, well, we played tennis from 12 to 1, and then we go out to lunch from 1 to 2. Maybe it becomes that. But if it becomes that, it's because it was either natural, it was either a natural uprising from the tennis, or you proposed it, or they proposed it. That's a really mature way to handle relationships and friendships. And one of the things that I notice about my mind, about the mind of others, is that so many of the time in the day, so much of the time during the day is spent wishing for things to go a certain way instead of using your creative will to help them go that way. I don't wish for something to go a certain way. Ask yourself, how can I help it go this way? And that means you have to be okay with rejection. That means you have to be okay with no. That means you have to be okay with imperfection. It means you have to be okay with trial and error, with play, with not being so serious, with just playing, just letting things come together and fall apart and come together and fall apart. Because friendship, a real friend is someone who's going to be honest with you. A real friend is going to say, I can't meet that expectation. Hey, I can meet for tennis, but I can't go out to lunch after because my dog is waiting at home for me and they really need me. And then it's okay for you to be like, oh, that's sad. I feel sad. I'll be okay, but I feel sad. Like, you're allowed to share who you are. You don't have to keep that a secret. You can share who you are. You can share what you want. You can propose things. You can be okay with rejection. And you can encourage other people to do the same. Hey, if you really want something from me, don't have a quiet hidden expectation about that. Just say it. If you really are looking for support in a certain area and you think I might be able to do that, ask me. I'll let you know if I can. And if I can't, it doesn't mean that I don't like you or don't want to support you. It just means I can't do it right now. I wish that for all people, we would get better at this because I meet and hear, even if I don't know them personally, like even if I just hear, like see someone's social media post, or I listen to someone give a TED talk, or I meaning, like, I don't have to know them personally. Like some people I know personally, some people I don't know personally, but I feel like so often humans struggle with having unmet needs, having like really wanting support in certain areas of their life and not being able to get it. And one of the reasons that they're not able to get it is because somehow we all believe growing up that it's supposed to be provided for us and to us. And if it's not being provided for us and to us, then somehow it means we shouldn't have it. And so then we're like always operating from this place of feeling like we're under a deficit because nobody really comes in and teaches and says, like, hey, you have some will here and you can use it in this place. You can use it here on earth. You can propose things, you can create things, you can figure out what you want and need, and you can ask for it. And if 10 people say no, you can ask an 11th person. And if 85 people say no, you can ask an 86th person. And if you're playful, and if you're okay with the no's, and if you keep asking, and if you're being kind to yourself in the process and kind to others, you're probably going to feel supported way before anyone else even steps in to support you. Because when you go for life like this, when you go for friendship like this, when you go for proposals like this, you're supporting you. Like, you're supporting you. When someone just sits and they feel like, I've never been given that kind of a friend that I've always wanted. They're not really supporting themselves, and I get it, and I'm not blaming them, meaning, like, it's not their fault that they haven't learned a different way. It's not their fault, but there's a different way, and it's a way better way. It's a way better way. It's so think about it like this, if you had a choice, would you rather sit in a room and feel like there was nothing you could do to change anything in that room? Or would you rather sit in a room where you had creative control? Not entirely, because that would be, I mean, God has creative control entirely, right? You have some creative control. Would you rather be in the room where you have 0 creative control, or would you rather be in the room where you have a whole lot of creative control? Like, you can move things around. You can redo the room, you can rearrange it. You can knock down a wall and build another wall. You can knock down a wall and keep it down. You could paint the wall. You could bust through the ceiling. You could add something new. You could put a couch there and sit down. You could put a hole in the floor and climb down. You could d all kinds of things you could do. Would you rather do that, or would you rather sit in a room and say, "There's nothing I can do. All I can do is sit here and wait for something to come." Don't wait for that amazing friend that you've always wanted. Create it, cultivate it, propose it. It's available for you. And it'll be fun. It'll be so fun to create it. I wonder if you've thought a little bit about the friendships you've had when you were a kid, how you started out to think of them, and where it's led you to today, and what your friendships are like today. Are they at the place where you want them to be? Or do you have some creative shaping and proposing to do? If you love to reflect and you like questions and you like to think about different parts of yourself that maybe you don't think about. So, if you want really interesting questions, I have a journal membership where you get a question a day. You answer it in 3 minutes or less, and it shows you another part of your thought process, another part of your putting together your proposal for what is it that you want? What do you want in your life? And how can you go about creating it? If you'd like that journaling prompt in your inbox tomorrow, it is a membership. It's $29 a month, and I would love to see you in the membership. I'll have the link in the show notes. If you have somebody in your life who is thinking about friendship or feeling like they don't have a good friend or wanting something more, maybe it's a daughter, a mother, a brother, a sister, a neighbor, right? Somebody who feels like they don't have the friend that they want. They don't have the support that they want. Share this episode with them. Let them know that they have more creative control than they've ever been told. Help them put together a proposal. Keep saying it straight, saying it kind, saying it true. Let's keep helping each other little by little every day. See you next time.